Hello everyone, this is Let's Talk Filipino with Dr. Leo Paz. We're here to talk about the national language of the Philippines, Tagalog. What can you tell us about this?
Okay. First of all, Mickey, thanks for inviting me here, and welcome everyone. In response to your first question, the Philippines has many languages. There's about 180 plus of them, depending on how you classify them. And it all started when the new republic was coming into being. See, for many years, about 400 years, the Philippines was under Spain. And before that, it was a conglomeration of various regional groups, various regional groupings or barangays or bigger tribes, and with various associations or attachments to bigger groups like a Southeast Asian kingdom or a Southeast Asian group or region. So when Spain took over in the 16th century, they occupied the Philippines and occupied it for 4 centuries. And after that, they were driven out and the Americans took over. But around the time the Philippines was taken over by the Americans, the United States prepared the ground for eventually giving it independence. So when the first Philippine Commonwealth was established in 1935, 1936, the United States government and the people involved with the new emerging nation felt that there may be a need for a national language to get everybody in the whole nation unified. And part of the help towards unifying the whole nation would be a national language, so the lingua franca, for everybody to communicate easily and more expeditiously with each other. So what the first constitutional convention shaping the Philippines' new government did was include a provision for choosing a language, one among the many existing in the Philippines then, to be the basis of the eventual national language. So a group was assigned to study that area, and they were supposed to look at the various languages of the Philippines. And they were given an edict and norms and criteria when to choose and how to choose a language. Eventually, Tagalog, which is the language spoken in Central Luzon, the major island of the Philippines, was chosen as a language. So that was it. So they started working on Tagalog, which is a regional language, as the eventual basis of the national language. So this went through a long evolutionary process. From the 1930s to the 1950s, a grammar has evolved. Several people or scholars worked on the Tagalog grammar. And then in the 1950s, a decree came out stating that the national language should be called Filipino with the letter P. And so it was called Filipino. However, this language that was shaping up, this then national language, struck many regions throughout the Philippines as too old Tagalog or based on the original language in Central Luzon. So there was a sort of national reaction to it. The solution formed by later governments came in 1972 during the Marcos period. Around the time President Marcos declared martial law, a movement was started to change the name of the national language and change the language to something that was more expanded, to incorporate vocabulary to enrich it from other languages, whether they be English, Spanish, French, and others, as well as languages from the other regions. So it became more broad and more complex. So this was embodied in the Constitution of 1972-73 under the Marcos dictatorship. So at that Constitution, they first introduced the term Filipino with an F to replace the old Filipino with a P, which was so closely identified to the Tagalog old language, which was found too grammatical, too deep, and too florid. So they introduced Filipino, supposedly to be evolved and revised and enriched by other languages, regional Philippines as well as foreign languages.
Yeah.
So when Corazon Aquino took over from the deposed or kicked out Marcos dictatorship in 1986, a new constitution was written in 1987 and was voted overwhelmingly by the people into the new constitution. That new constitution had a provision saying that henceforth the national language will be Filipino spelled with an F. So following the Marcos Constitution of 72, and that this language will continuously be enriched by borrowings and adaptations from other foreign languages as well as Philippine regional languages.